What up, y'all? Tina here. I want to talk about some of the missteps in the case of Jonathan Majors concerning his attorney. I want to preface this with, I'm Team Jonathan Majors. I want him to win. I want him to be innocent. I've been a fan of him since The Last Black Man in San Francisco. I loved him on Lovecraft Country. I thought the whole cast was phenomenal, and it was a great show. But I'm not biased either. I'm not going to lean one way or the other because I'm a fan of him as an artist. So I've consistently tried to analyze this case from a non-biased point of view. But as of day 5, when all of this started, I have always contended that his lawyer is one of the worst things that have ever happened to him. His counsel has been ineffective in representing him, in my opinion, and in this video, I'm going to give you 7 missteps that they've taken throughout the course of this case. All right, number 1, let's start off with the first thing that she did wrong. When he was arrested, she immediately put out a statement and she said, "This is all a misunderstanding. I'll be talking to the judge tomorrow. There's video footage of this situation. This case is going to be dropped." You do not put out a statement like that without it being true, in the sense of you told us you had video evidence of this incident from inside the car. Fast forward to today, in October, the prosecution says no video exists. The second misstep that she made was, when all of this happened, she claimed that she spoke to the accuser. She had a statement that was completely recanting everything she told the police. First off, there was never a written statement from the accuser. You released a text message from this lady that she thought she was texting Jonathan Majors. She essentially was trying to cover him and take up for him. I'm sorry, that text message read like a classic case of a domestic violence victim. Not only did the releasing of the text message look horrible, it also gave more credence to there was a physical altercation between these two. Those text messages, they should have never been presented to the public. It was horrible optics. Third misstep, you told us you had video evidence that would prove that Jonathan Majors would be innocent. He's going to be fully exonerated. And the video evidence that you presented to us was her partying at the club. Man, that did not look good, because you are essentially saying, look, there's no way that he fought her in the car because look, she's partying. She's having a good time. So the problem with her releasing this footage in April was she dropped the footage without an adequate representation of what we should be looking at in the film. Because it's possible that they got into a fight and she got hurt and she just decided to go drink the pain away. This video didn't really help anything. It just shows that she went, got drunk, and partied with some people. Let's don't act like we haven't seen or we haven't known of people getting into physical altercations and they go to work, they go to school. Sometimes they get drunk and they go party and they carry on with life like nothing has happened. And usually this happens when there's a very toxic relationship involved and the people or the person in this relationship has normalized the abuse and they've now become accustomed to just functioning with it. Now, what she should have done is she should have painted the picture and made the story clear to us as soon as this video dropped. Because if you remember back in April when it came out, there wasn't much of a backstory, and that's why the video received so much public backlash at the time. She should have been very clear and concise and said, look, the prosecution is trying to say that my client broke the accuser's finger. But as you see in this video, there's no way that's possible. People with a broken finger cannot do some of the things that she's doing in this video. She didn't tell us that at the time. She just dropped this video and said, look, my client is accused of injuring her hand. You didn't tell us he was accused of breaking her finger, because then at the time, we could look at that video and say, you know what? Nah, he didn't break her finger. There's no way you're doing all of this with a broken finger. But the video was dropped without context. Misstep number 4. We're now in April. This woman hasn't flipped on Jonathan Majors yet. She's still not cooperating with the police. It's the DA and the prosecutor that's pushing this case. She's not helping them out. She did not release an official statement to the police until May. You know what else happened in May? This man popped out with Meagan Goode. You being his attorney, you should have sat down and talked to him and said, look, while this case is going on, it's not a good idea for you to be seen with any women unless it's your mama and the pastor. You know what makes this even worse? Her husband is his PR and crisis manager. So y'all really sat down as a family and agreed that, hey, Jonathan Majors, you should be seen in public with Meagan Goode, because you know what? That's going to make the Black community like you even more and stand up behind you. But on the flip side, let's not be ignorant to the fact that Black women, historically, will always ride and die for Black men, even to our own detriment at times. We will cover, we will protect, we will defend, and we will be your backbone when needed. I think him and Meagan Goode are a real thing. I don't think it's PR. I just think it shouldn't have been public. Because now, this is where race relations come into play. In May, you have a white woman who has not flipped and talked to the police yet. She's home in the UK, sad, depressed. Probably in her mind, she's thinking, we're going to work this out. We're going to get back together. She opens her phone, checks Instagram, and she finds out that you are with a Black, attractive, famous actress. 3 things that she could never compete with. 3 things that probably feed into her insecurities of being with a Black man. Maybe always having that thought in the back of her mind that he's probably going to leave me for someone else. You have this woman sitting at home looking at this. Oh yeah, now she's talking to the police. You're in trouble now. We're in May, and his lawyer is still putting out statements to the public saying, don't worry, this is all going to be dropped. This is all a misunderstanding. No ma'am, you have a woman scorned, sitting at home, cooperating with the police at this point. You have major problems. All right, misstep number 5, the horrible hit piece that the Rolling Stones released, digging into this man's past, saying he's mean and he's assaulted people before. I think it was disgusting because all of us, even me, if you talk to some of my exes, they're probably going to say she's a jerk and she did some things that she shouldn't have done when she was 20-years old. We all have a past, all right? The hit piece was crazy. Do not believe that this man was running around Yale campus assaulting people. There's nothing in this world that will make me believe that, because he's not an athlete. Those are things that athletes do. You know, they do all these wild, crazy things, and the coaches help sweep it under the rug if they're a star athlete. If Jonathan Majors was running around Yale abusing and beating up people in the theater program, they would have kicked his so fast. Was he mean? Did he horseplay with people? Was he an intimidating presence on the stage? Yeah, maybe. He probably was. Did he stay in role too long? Yeah, maybe. But was he going around Yale beating up people? Nah. Ain't no Black man running around a prestigious school like Yale assaulting people and staying on that campus. It's not happening. No. So the hit piece, it was wild. But this is where the lawyer messed up. She sent 6 statements to the Rolling Stone of women or people taking Jonathan Majors' side. 3 of the people said they never gave permission to the lawyer to release anything. The 4th person said she was given some type of pre-written statement that she never approved. The 5th person said no comment. And then the 6th person said, you know what? That doesn't sound like the Jonathan I know. He's a good guy. My problem with the lawyer is these are rookie mistakes. They seem very manipulative, and she's maybe walking some ethical and moral lines, because why would you release this stuff if you didn't have permission from these people? You could have easily told Rolling Stone, look, no comment. We're not involved with this nasty hit piece. We're dealing with a court case. No comment. All right, misstep number 6. Now we're in June. The judge has pretty much reiterated, you know what, we're not going to drop this. We need everybody to come back to court. I still need to look over some things. So now that we're in June, what does the lawyer tell Jonathan? Take yourself on down to the station and press charges against her. 3 months later, ma'am, this looks like retaliation. This is why the prosecution, they don't want to pursue her, because they feel like this. Usually, when there's 2 people involved with a domestic violence incident, we take them both to jail. They both press charges against each other. If the case isn't severe, the judge will say, look, y'all go to anger management, y'all talk to a counselor, y'all do some community service, y'all get probation, y'all get up out of here. The cross complaints usually happen fairly quickly. When the defendant is on trial for abusing someone and he decides to press charges months after someone's pressed charges on you, it looks like retaliation. It doesn't seem sincere, because if you had a good lawyer, she would have told you immediately, as soon as you got out of jail, did this woman harm you? Let me see the pictures. You need to go press charges against her right now. You don't wait 3 months later as a backup plan because it seems like now you're reaching for straws. Now, I believe she was beating on him. I believe it. I believe she attacked him because, listen, when people find out that they're being cheated on or there's infidelity, people go crazy. But you lose your upper hand when it's 3 months later and you're the defendant. You filing charges against her at this point seems like y'all are just reaching, trying to find something to stick to protect him, okay? And once again, here is where race relations plays a part. It is so systematically ingrained in American culture to protect white women that it's always going to be an uphill battle. This situation is deeply rooted in American DNA. For example, let's look at Emmett Till. They claim he whistled at somebody. And look, we know what happened with that situation. We know what the outcome was. Those men felt like they had to protect that woman from whatever that boy was going to attempt to do to her. Let's come to 2023. It's still going on. We have Angel Reese. She hits the Tony Ayo to Caitlin Clark. And immediately, I'm talking about within minutes, white men felt the need to rush and protect this woman, even though that woman never asked for protection. That woman is a baller. She had been doing it to other people. She know how the game go. But white culture, white men in particular, felt like Angel Reese was harming her. So they immediately had to come to protect her. Like, how many more examples do y'all need of white tears? Look at this case. Look at this woman. Burst into tears when she meets these strangers on the side of the road. She never even said he hit her or he assaulted her. All she said was she caught him cheating. And this man right here felt the need to immediately protect her. He chose to try and attack Jonathan Majors for another woman, even though his woman was standing right there trying to stop him. So yes, she probably jumped on you. She attacked you. She scratched you. But as you can see, with evidence and proof of your injuries, her tears are more valuable than your injuries. Jonathan, your grandmother is a Southern Texas preaching woman. I know she has told you growing up to be careful with those white girls. I'm from the South. Let's don't sugarcoat it, okay? And say that our parents or grandparents wasn't having these talks with little boys as young as 7 or 8, or maybe even teenagers saying, look, do not talk to white women. Don't mess with little white girls. Because down here in the South, it means point blank, period. You can. So no, black man, no. They don't care about your injuries. They don't mean nothing. They're not valid. They don't care that she scratched you up. So it was a misstep to try and press charges against her 6 months later. Should have happened day 2. Now, this is kind of conflicting for me. The lawyer, once again, said that the driver was willing to testify that the accuser was the aggressor. She attacked him. She jumped on him. She was a crazy lady, is what Jonathan Majors' lawyers said the driver said. Now, the prosecution is saying, which is, there seems a little conflict in the verbiage. I don't know what's true or not. The prosecution put out a statement and said that the taxi cab driver said he never gave a statement and he never said any of that. Now, I'm slightly confused because I don't know if this was a third-party taxi or if this was actually the driver of the private car that they were in. But either way it goes, there's a taxi somewhere saying that they never approved for Jonathan Majors' team to release any type of statement that he made or she made. The taxi driver could be a woman, who knows. Misstep number 7, Brady violation. His lawyer claimed that the prosecution was hiding all of this evidence that could prove that Jonathan Majors was innocent. And all of this should fall under the Brady violation and the case should be dismissed. So a part of this was the sidewalk video that a lot of us have seen, a statement from the doctor who agreed her finger was broke, and she's claiming that the prosecution spoke to the driver and the driver gave statements saying that the accuser was the aggressor, but the prosecution hid his statement. And they also felt that his right to a speedy trial had been violated. The judge reviewed all this information and said, no, ma'am, there's no Brady violation here. The judge also said his right to a speedy trial has not been violated. It's only been 70 chargeable court days. What type of lawyer doesn't know how many court days have passed? Like, ma'am, You knew y'all hadn't reached the 90-day mark. So why would you even try to get this case dismissed off of failure of a speedy trial when you know the mark hasn't been passed? And look, let's talk about another thing that came out today. You asked the judge that when this goes to trial, you want certain things sealed to the public. Now, that's not really a misstep. That's a good idea. Problem is, what are y'all trying to seal? Why now do you want to start hiding things from the public when for the past 6 or 7 months, you've been so freely giving everything to the public? What does the prosecution have that you don't want us to see? It sounds like you're moonwalking, and now you're getting a little scared of what can come out. You know, the brightest spot in this case is prosecution is making an accusation that he broke her finger during the initial altercation. The video evidence that we have on that sidewalk really does help Jonathan Majors, because you're not doing all that with a broken finger. You're not going to the club with a broken finger and dancing and holding bottles and acting as normal with a broken. It's not happening. You're not doing that with a jammed finger. Another bright spot is the driver. If we can figure out what side the driver is on, he can really be helpful for Jonathan Majors. Problem is, we don't really know where the driver stands. He's really a neutral party. He doesn't have a dog in the fight. We just don't know what he's going to say when he gets on the stand. But you know what's scary? The accuser's testimony. If she gets on that stand and starts pointing and crying and saying that he assaulted her, it's not going to look good. It's a reason why we say no face, no case. Because it's very tough to put someone on the stand in a criminal trial and for the jury not to believe them. It's very tough. The good thing is, Jonathan Majors' lawyer can cross-examine her. And baby, she got a lot of stuff to pick her apart on. But you gotta be kind of careful how you come at her, though, because you don't want to come off like you're attacking her while she's sitting up there crying, saying your client beat on her. But there's a lot of holes in this case that his lawyer can take advantage of if she's a good trial lawyer. I don't know if she's a good trial lawyer. This woman concerns me with how she's been moving with this case. I think Jonathan Majors should take the stand. Your life is on the line, brother, and if you are 100% innocent, you need to get on that stand and you need to tell people what happened that night. You do not leave your future in someone else's hands to tell your story. Now, the accuser is kind of tricky because she might get on that stand and pull a Kelsey. She might get on that stand and say she felt pressured by the prosecution and that she was forced into this situation to testify against him when she already said he didn't do nothing. She was the aggressor. She might get up there and take the fall and say everything was her fault that night. She might get up there and say, I forgot what happened. I was drinking. I took some sleeping pills. I can't remember. And then you only need one person to believe that he's innocent. Do y'all think he should take a plea deal? How does Marvel handle this? He has 3 charges. What if he's innocent on 2, but he's guilty on 1? Do you keep him? Do you try to work it out with him? Let's say maybe the harassment charge sticks. Does Marvel keep him, or do they say, we don't want nothing to do with it? All these things about his counsel makes me very nervous. I don't trust his lawyer. What do y'all think? Y'all think this is looking good for him? Thanks for hanging out with me while I ranted. Peace.